Hello, good evening, I don't even know what time it is where you are. Afternoon?
It's morning here.
Very morning. Good morning. It's
Morning.
like outside where it's very confusing these time zones. How are you today?
I'm doing very well, thanks. And yourself?
Very good, very good. In the festive spirit, as you can see.
So I see.
I have all of my parents' old Christmas decorations from the 80s. They sent down to me, so I'm very excited to put it up. Very probably not fire legal decorations.
I'm seeing no flickering in the background yet, so that's good.
Yes, I do have to panic. Is anything on fire? No, it's all good. It's good. We're all okay. But yes, welcome. Today we are here talking about the Harrowing of Doom. Our last Marvel novel of 2020. Oh, sadness. But we've got more next year. And yeah, we are talking with you today about this wonderful novel. I know people are very excited for it. We've had some very good reviews come through. People are really pleased with what you've done with it. So I'm very excited to talk to you today. Catherine says, hello.
Hello.
From the podcast. Hey, Catherine. I hope you are well. Right. Well, let's jump right in then, shall we? Can you give maybe a quick summary of the book for people who may not be aware of it, and maybe talk a little bit about sort of where it fits within the Marvel universe?
Well, the Aconyte books are a kind of parallel universe with regards to the main line of the Marvel comics, so they're not in strict continuity with those. That being said, so the Harrowing of Doom takes place some years, I think 15 years after Doom ascends to the throne in Latveria, and so it deals specifically with his yearly ordeal where he has to fight a champion of hell if he wins, his mother's soul will be freed from hell. But of course, hell stacks the decks and he's never going to win. So recognizing this, he discovers, or he comes up with what he believes will be a way around this, and instead of waiting for hell to come to him, he will go to hell, as it were, or bring the fight to hell. So it's a very ingenious plan, and absolutely nothing can go wrong with it.
It sounds very ingenious, and he's a doctor, so what could possibly go wrong?
He's brilliant. It's foolproof.
Now, you're a huge fan of Doctor Doom. I know this because we've done many written interviews together. So how excited were you to be able to write a Doom novel?
Oh, it's still in the pinch me, am I dreaming category. I mean, I have he's been watching over me during the writing process. As I've said in other places, he's my absolute favorite Marvel character. Bar none. So I've been a fan of Dr. Doom since at least, I think since I was 8, or possibly longer than that. So it's a long-standing relationship, and as I was writing it, I kept sort of reminding myself, I'm actually writing dialogue for Dr. Doom here. It's it was an extraordinary feeling to be able to do something with a character that so long.
Yeah, the book itself is out now in the USA and Canada in paperback, and it is available as an ebook globally. So no matter where you are in the world, you can pick up an ebook copy of this. It is out in January. Yes, I just had to check my calendar. Yes, in the UK. Due to some COVID restrictions, things have been shuffled around a little bit here in the UK, but everything as far as we can see for 2021 is on track. So Harrowing of Doom will still be out in January in paperback for everyone, just a month behind the US. Oh, so I asked this to everyone, but I suppose I already know the answer to this one. So why, within the Marvel universe, there are so many wonderful characters, why Terabithia, get off my camera. Naughty bird. Why Doom over anyone else? You said he's your favorite character, but what is so appealing about Doom?
Well, I've always been drawn to darker characters, which I'm sure comes as a huge shock to anyone who knows me. He just looks so cool, among other things, and I think some of his appeal is something that I couldn't articulate it when I first became a fan, but I've grown to understand since, that he's a really wonderful modern incarnation of the Gothic hero villain. Those extraordinarily charismatic dark figures of the Gothic novel, and I'm thinking specifically of, say, Montoni and Anne Radcliffe's The Mysteries of Udolpho, or Ambrosio and Matthew Lewis's The Monk, and so on, who drive the plot forward, who even if they are certainly with regards to the protagonists, are the villains, but are so central to the books that they might as well be the protagonists. But he also has very strong aspects of the Byronic hero, which is certainly a very closely related figure, but without being quite the same thing. And so, depending on the context in which Doom appears, he will be more straightforwardly, and I use the word straightforwardly a little loosely, villainous. He is the force that needs to be defeated. But in other contexts, particularly the Latverian one, he's going to be a much more complicated figure, or certainly less an overtly villainous one. Again, depending on the perspective of the observer. And his motivations are complicated. I mean, he's not something like the Red Skull, who is unambiguously villainous. Doom does believe he's doing the right thing. He genuinely does try to save humanity, for example. Now, the way to save humanity is for him to be in charge. So there is there are perhaps some issues to be addressed there, but that those layers of complexity, the also just visually, he's a magnificent creation, right? That kind of sorceress knight, and all of the Gothic trappings that come with that make him extremely appealing for me.
And that's what I love about our cover as well. It's like, he's standing on this Gothic castle, and his cape is flapping sort of heroically, but he's all like, sort of, that he's not exactly, even though he's got a heroic cape on, he's not exactly a good guy.
There's a twisted quality to his stance there, which I think is wonderful.
Definitely. Okay. So in our Untold series, we're looking at, a lot of the time, we're looking at villains rather than the well-known heroes. How did you go about writing someone who's seen as more of a villain in the comics as our hero in this story? Like, how did you flip it and make people sort of want to feel for him a bit?
Well, I had some fairly direct inspiration with one of my favorite comics when I was a child, which was an issue of Marvel's Supervillain Team Up. And I had several of those, but my favorite was a standalone story where, while Doom is away in the Riviera, because of course where else would he relax, the Red Skull takes over Latveria. And so Doom has to come back and has to set things right. So in that story, Doom is effectively heroic. And with setting the story in Latveria, well, first, the motivation for Doom here is ultimately the freeing of his mother's soul from hell. So that is a fairly heroic goal off the hop. And I try to ask myself too, despite the fact that he is obviously an absolute ruler in Latveria, there also we see evidence in stories of the fact that there's an aspect of him that is beloved in his country. So why would that be? And if he does want to believes he is doing the right thing for his people. And this is coming from someone whose mother wound up in hell because she was trying to save her people from the oppression of the evil Baron. So how does that manifest itself in Latveria? What would be the nature of that country? What is there that's more to him than simply the Dark Lord in the Dark Castle?
I really like retellings in stories where you get to see a side of the villain that you don't normally get to see. I keep thinking of like Maleficent.
Yeah.
I really loved that film just because it retold the whole story. You're like, oh, makes you sort of think about the story that you know. I think that's why. And that's one thing that like lots of people picked up on in reviews is that they weren't expecting to come into this and actually like Doom. They were expecting to see a villain and just seeing more of him being villainous, and the fact that they see this other side of him really surprised them and made it a very good review as well.
Well, and which is certainly very gratifying. And I can't disguise my fondness for the character, and it's a balancing act because though there is this heroic side that I definitely wanted to foreground in the book, at the same time, he can't be unambiguously that, right? So I mean, for instance, to come back to some of the things that he does in Latveria, the educational system seems to be work very nicely there, and there are all kinds of opportunities, but you have to remember that you are still very much Doom's subject. So your advanced education makes you more useful to Doom. Right. Now, which and he may still have the best of intentions according to his lights, but which may not be shared by people outside of his mindset. But it's this kind of circle of complexity where you get all these opportunities to serve Doom, to serve quote unquote the greater good from Doom's perspective, and then that feeds back into the opportunities for you. But it's I didn't want it to be easy, let's say.
So if Marvel had said to you, I'm sorry, you can't write a story about Doctor Doom, who would you have written a story about? Who would have been your second choice?
My second choice. Oh God. Well, it's funny. I would probably have. One of the things I would love to take a run at is some of the Jack Kirby monsters from early in the Marvel's history. So perhaps a group of them. I mean, probably the one that stands out most famously is Fin Fang Foom, who I think is a wonderful character too. And I certainly have enjoyed his latest incarnation, or at least the most recent one that I've seen, as the chef for the Fantastic Four. But all the other creatures that Kirby created are such wonderful, huge, dominating monsters that it would be I'd love to do something with them. With regards to villains, specific villains, I'd probably have to think about that, because as soon as I saw the list of villains and the Doctor Doom was one possibility, then my entire being was devoted to that goal alone.
I didn't even read past that one. I saw that one. Excellent.
But I think probably my next favorite Marvel villain is the Lizard. So he'd probably be my second choice.
So Catherine just says that she's heard a lot about the diversity within the book and the inclusion, and she just wants to thank you for that. And that is something that has been brought up in a lot of the reviews as well. People are very grateful to see that happen so naturally.
Well, thank you. And it's that's just something that I certainly feel like it's a work in progress for me. It's something I need to do better at in my writing, and so this is an attempt to do that. Whether I've been successful or not will be up to the readers.
Yes. Are we going to be seeing any more of Doom?
I sure hope so. That's the work is in progress for more Doom, and with the characters here coming back for more. I have some big plans for some of them.
Okay, this one I'm asking only because every time I mention Doctor Doom, someone on Twitter asks this and says, "What is Doctor Doom's doctorate?" Do you know, as a Doctor Doom fan, what is it you say?
It wouldn't be, well, it would not be medicine. Let's it would be, and quite honestly, that is a question that an answer to which I should have at my fingertips. But I think we can certainly point to his advanced skills in science. So it would certainly be in that domain. I would. Without having to check, I certainly shouldn't be. This should be taken as gospel, but I wouldn't be surprised if there are multiple doctorates, because since we have somebody who is a genius level operative in both technology and sorcery, and I mean, I'd have to check, but I know that my university doesn't offer both as a combined doctorate, so they are very much separate disciplines.
Okay, he seems smart enough to have multiple doctorates.
Yeah.
As well. Yeah. Well, I shall let people know whenever they ask. I don't know why they ask me. I'm like, well, I don't know. Is that not his name? Is his first name not Doctor? I don't know. So I've asked you this before when we were talking about Curse of Honor, but I just wondering if it changes for Marvel. What's your favorite thing about writing tie-in fiction, especially sort of in the Marvel universe, which is just like a massive universe that loads of people are sort of familiar with, either by comic books or by films, and the fandom is just so strong. Like, yeah,
it was a very different experience, because with Curse of Honor, that was the process of the discovery of the universe of Legend of the Five Rings, and there having this enormous world to play in, but in which to create characters to play in. With Marvel, this is a universe I grew up with, that has been part of my childhood since certainly as far back as I can remember. And so I grew up with these characters and these settings, so it's always been part of my life. So there, and then with the case of Doom, so it's, as opposed to a world in which I could create a character, here was a character that I got a chance to play with, and to actually write a story for a figure that, I mean, I wish I could go back to my 8-year-old self and tell him, do you know what's going to happen? Do you know what you're going to be able to do? The chance that you'll have. It's so it's the, suddenly being given the opportunity to play with the most amazing toy, and so it's a very different side of one of the joys of tie-in fiction, and it's an equally huge one.
So, question: would you consider writing actual heroes, or do you feel that writing villains or grey characters offers you personally more opportunity for storytelling?
I since horror is my great love, I gravitate towards the dark, and I always have. When I was in nursery school, I only colored with a black crayon, but so that is certainly my wheelhouse, is the morally gray, the darker characters. But working with tie-in fiction has made me write much more unambiguously good characters, and I think like Barako in Curse of Honor is certainly one of those. And with Black Library, I've written about Vulcan and Guilliman, who are much more upright figures. So it's Vulcan in particular. So those are experiences that have pushed me to stretch creatively, and so I think certainly the morally gray characters come with all sorts of built-in conflict, which invites stories. But the writing the more upright figures forces me to think more carefully and say, okay, so what is the story here? So I always, whatever character that I'm writing, I always make sure that I get to love them and their story, and I'm excited about their story before I put pen to paper or pixels to screen.
Okay, so were there any challenges working within the Marvel universe, and how do you sort of overcome those challenges?
It was a breeze, actually. The editorial notes that we got back after Lottie and I had gone through the drafts of the book. Marvel had a few suggestions, but they were we never ran into something where it's like, oh dear, this story's not going to work. It was always suggestions to make the story work better, or if I had made some errors in lore, things that needed correcting. But it was not. I honestly can't say that I overcome that there were really any challenges to overcome. It was a very, very, very smooth working process. So, I think some of the things that going forward that I'm being very coy now about the future stories, where I had to make sure that I wasn't running into conflict with something that was previously existing, or so I needed to come up with some other alternative there. And I realize that's sounding very, very vague, but I find that very much just the par for the course in writing tie-in fiction, especially involving something where there is a very large and established universe. That it's part of the game to you come up with a story and then see whether it fits and adjust as necessary.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, like places like in the Warhammer lore as well. That trying to do the same thing in their world when they have so many different stories going on, and the backgrounds and the lore for that, trying to fit it into that must be
Well, it is, but it's in some ways. It's, for instance, if you're playing chess, you're not you can't move your knight as if it were a bishop, right? That's just and if you go in wanting to move your knight like a bishop, well, you should be playing chess. It's
I tried to play Blood Bowl last weekend. I got annihilated. Absolutely crushed.
That would certainly be my experience. I love games, but I'm very bad at them.
Yeah. Forward to next week then when we play games.
Yes.
So Kathy says, did you base Doom on any particular interpretation of him?
I took my cues. Well, I think the two specific things that I guess from a few sources. I certainly took my cues from the most recent Doctor Doom comic, and I thought, in particularly in the first issue, his first thought when everything goes wrong is to save Latveria, even at his expense. And so there was a lot there that for me to draw upon, and the just the memories from all the different comics that I've read of his over the years, the grandiosity of some of the things that take place, for instance, in Secret Wars, where he actually manages to defeat the Beyonder and take his power and so forth. But then the way that he does have a tendency to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. So all of that was certainly informing my take on Doom, along with the influence from Gothic literature and specifically Byron, his conception of Manfred in his poem of the same name was a big influence too when I was shaping Doom.
Find out who writes the most recent Doom, and maybe see if we can get them an ebook copy, so they can see your Doom based on their Doom.
That was certainly a big influence. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Do that. Yeah, because Catherine mentioned in the chat that Domino in Tristan's book was based quite heavily on Gail Simone's Domino that she wrote. And when Gail found out about that, she got very excited. So that was
very nice.
It was very nice to have with Domino. So,
yeah, no kidding.
Cool. We can get some of the other Marvel writers on board with these as well. Yeah. Oh, Catherine also asked, is it fair to say that this is arguably your most personal time project?
Oh, that's a tough one. Yeah, I mean, it's certainly the character with whom I have the longest personal history, the one that I've known about and been a fan about the longest, just through the sheer number of years. Most personal, though, I mean, I guess that depends on what the metric we use for that is. There have been other stories where it's not so much the character as such, but the way the narrative has been shaped by, has felt very, very close to home. So I don't know that I could say that it is. I don't know that I could point to any one piece as being the most personal.
So let's bring up this again. So it is available everywhere now. Well, in ebook, so you can get it from Apple, you can get it from Amazon, you can get it from B&N, Kobo, iTunes Books, wherever you buy your ebooks from, you can pick that one up. It is available for you, and you can pick it up in paperback in the USA and Canada right now, and next month it comes out in the UK and Europe in paperback. Right, I think that is all our questions for this. But we're not going that far because next week we're going to be running some Christmas games. Aconyte and our authors are coming together to play Christmas games and eat mince pies, and I'll be dressed in silly outfits again, no doubt. And we're going to be playing Just One, which is a fun wordplay party game. And sort of chatting about things that are going on in the next year. Hopefully we might have some secret little cover reveals and things as well that we can show off, and some new things to share with people. But we're inviting everyone to come and play games with us. We'll also be playing the Sherlock Holmes consulting detective game, which is a team race against Sherlock Holmes to solve Victorian murder mysteries. And we'll be playing those live on Facebook and on YouTube here where you're watching this next week and the week after. So David, you are going to be with us. Let me check. I've got you for next Tuesday. We're going to be starting Sherlock Holmes together. The first case, part 1.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be really good fun. And then we're also going to be playing some Just One the week after as well, I believe. Let me look.
Thank you for part 2 of Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah. But yes, Sherlock Holmes, Tuesday and Friday next week. Part 1 and part 2, yes. It's going to be good fun. We're going to be, so I'll be the storyteller. I'll be the games master, as it were. And we'll be running around the streets of Victorian London trying to solve a murder mystery. So do come along for that as well.
I'll make sure I get a dry ice machine for my office for then.
Yeah. Turn off all the lights for the gas lights. Oh, I've got this lamp that looks like a little gas lamp.
Oh, perfect.
I'll pop that on there. Tell my story. Yeah, we have lots of maps and things, and this particular these resources have been made by Asmodee for part of their Connect and Play sort of initiative that they're doing. It's free play game, so do go on to Connect and Play and have a look at the games that you can play with friends and family over Zoom over Christmas. It's a really good thing that they've built with the different resources to help you game with friends whilst we are away. But yes, that just needs to say thank you very much, David, for coming along and for talking about the book. I'm really excited for people to get it. Hopefully, it's on lots of Christmas lists. So I look forward to seeing reviews of it over the Christmas period.
Thank you for having me. And it's, I still can't get over how lucky I've been to write this book. It's been such a privilege.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, thank you everyone in chat for coming along. Thank you for the questions. And we look forward to talking to you all again next week for our games that start on Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Check out our Facebook and our Twitter for more detailed links coming over the weekend. Okay then. Bye everyone. Thank you.